What's up, everybody? A while ago, I did a video about how to know how to purchase a truck, what to look for when you're purchasing a truck. I think I could have did a better job on that. I did it on IGTV, but I want to make sure I do it here, and I think I could do a better job on that. So let's kind of get into that. I know it's a lot of folks out there that are getting ready to go into their first endeavor and purchase their first truck. The biggest fear that a lot of folks have is they don't want to buy a faulty piece of equipment or a piece of equipment where the motor just blows as soon as they get the truck. And I've seen that happen before. The best thing to say is this. The very first thing I start with is mileage. I don't get anything over, if you're lucky, you can get 700,000 miles on a truck. And that truck is good. You know what I mean? That's low mileage on a truck. That's low mileage on a truck. The highest I've gone is my Kenworth. One of my Kenworths had 823,000 miles on it. And it was a really, really, really good motor. The thing I would say is if you can get a truck with a rebuild that's already had an end frame done to it, then take it. If the truck has 1 million miles on it and has an end frame on it, basically it has a new motor. But here's some of the things that you want to look for when you're going to purchase your first truck. First, the mileage. That's the first thing. Try not to do anything over 750,000 miles. 750,000 miles, you start getting shaky. Very first thing you want to check is underneath the truck is this tube called the blow-by tube. All right. Now, if the blow-by tube is only like pushing out a little bit of smoke, and what I recommend doing is having somebody like hit the gas pedal for you, so that you can see how much blow-by comes out of that blow-by tube. If it's a little bit, the way I was taught, if it's a little bit, the motor is probably sound, and you can get a couple 100,000 miles out of it before anything serious happens. But if you hit that blow-by, you hit that, the person hits the gas, and it just creates a smoke screen, that motor's in bad shape, and it could go at any moment. So the blow-by tube first is one thing you want to look at. Just you'll see it. You'll know it because it'll be pushing out a little bit of smoke when you turn the truck on. It'll be a little bit of smoke that comes out. Anybody that ever had a Detroit motor, the old Detroit motors, they would when you started them up, they just started with the blow-by, but it'll only be a little bit of blow-by. If it's only a little bit of blow-by, I think it's okay. Next, take the truck out for a test drive, right? When you take the truck out for a test drive, lean into it, like mash out on it, hit the gas, make the turbos whistle. When you bring it back to the dealership, open up the hood, take the fill oil cap off, the fill oil cap. Put your hands over that opening. If your hand blows away from that opening, then it's a chance that motor has been compromised and is in bad shape. But it's going to be air coming out. But if you put your hand over and it's just blowing on it like a fan, then the motor's 9 times out of 10 it's okay. But if it's blowing hard like that, there's a problem. Next, when you're checking out other things to look for. When you're looking at exhaust, make sure that when you start the truck, if it's cold, of course, there's going to be some exhaust possibly. But if you hit the gas and there's blue smoke coming out, that's not a good thing. Black smoke, that's okay. That's normally what it is. So look for those things initially. Next, you want to check the axles, right? What I was telling folks is you go to the axle. There's a fill cap valve, like on the axle. I'm trying to picture axle. Take the cap off. You can use your finger, but it's better to use a screwdriver. Stick the screwdriver in there, pull it out, see how much oil comes back on that axle. If it's got a lot of oil in there and it's good and oiled down, then that axle's probably been taken care of. But if you put that screwdriver in there and you get very minimal grease back on the screwdriver, it could be an axle problem waiting to happen. Also, look for metal shavings. Metal shavings, when you stick the screwdriver in, if you come back with any type of little metal particles on the screwdriver, that means it's been metal on metal. And that could possibly mean that that axle is about to go. Also, look for grease around the hub of the wheel. Now, those are wheel seals. That's not a big fix. It's, you know, it's just a couple dollars, but check that, because you don't want to ride around with a truck that's not greased all the way up and the axles and the wheel seals are leaking. That's bad. It's a cheap fix, but if you let it go unchecked, it could be a real problem. Make sure your fifth wheel latches. Hook it up to anything. Make sure it latches onto a trailer. You can pull it off, and you know, make sure all the airbags work. Not just the airbags on the axles. Make sure the airbags underneath the cab work too. Make sure that truck isn't looking like an airplane about to take off, you know, sitting on the airbags and they're not airing up. Make sure those are fixed. Turbos. Make sure I am not a turbo wizard. I got some friends who really are masters of the turbo. To me, if the turbo is whistling properly at the right RPM, 9 times out of 10, the turbo is good. The other thing you want to do is make sure you get a mechanic. Don't rely on the dealership. Get cool with the local mechanics. Get cool with the mechanics who are in your area. Then that way, you know, you're not paying those dealership prices. Don't just take your truck to the dealership. All you got to do is find a truck driver in your area that you know, independent owner operator that you cool with. Ask him who his mechanic is. 9 times out of 10, they got somebody in the neighborhood that they're working with. Those are the type of mechanics you want to work with. 9 times out of 10 too, those guys are coming out of, you know, Cummins, Detroit, Caterpillar type situations where they were mechanics and now they're just independent. Make sure all your amenities work. The way I look at a truck is like this. The truck is like your house. When you're home, you want the TV and the air conditioner to work. You want to make sure that, you know, the lights inside the cabin, inside your sleeper area work. You want to make sure that your amber lights, you know, all the normal stuff that you would do on a pre-trip, make sure all that stuff works. You know, those are little things that the dealership is probably going to fix anyway. And, you know, make sure that you ask them when was the last time they had, you know, did the oil, they changed the oil on the truck. If you can get a mechanic to go with you to look at the truck that you're getting ready to purchase, that's good. Also, when you start the truck, if it airs up, right? When it airs up, the airbags air up and it sits up right. Turn it off. And when you turn it off, wait and see how long before that truck drops back down again. Now, if it drops back down because it's been sitting for, you know, it drops back down after a day or 2 days. That's just, to me, that's just normal wear and tear. But if you turn that truck off and you just hear it just leaking air, yeah, you got a problem. Next, check shocks. Check the shocks, check the brakes. Make sure that the brakes, I mean, you already know when you went to the truck driving school how to check, you know, to make sure you have the right percentage of brake pad on those wheels. Make sure that the shocks are done. Make sure they give you new shocks. A lot of times they won't change shocks. Make sure you get some new shocks. Shocks are good. They help to preserve the rears of the truck. Mud flaps, all your fluids, you know, all the normal stuff. All the normal stuff you would check with a vehicle. But the biggest things are check that blow-by tube. Make sure you check the grease in those axles. Make sure you check that. That's important. And look for the smoke coming out of your exhaust. Make sure that's good. If you do that, you should be pretty good and the truck should be good to go. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for everybody that's supporting. I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. But like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to ContractFortune.com so you can take part in the Q&As and those things. And I'll see you later.